Good afternoon, everyone. We want to welcome you to the first session of Saturday School with Dr. JBG3. I received numerous inquiries, emails, direct messages, just for advice for parents as they kind of navigate through these uncharted waters as it comes to homeschooling their students and providing as much instructional support as they possibly can. So I want to take this time to kind of give parents and friends and anyone else who may need it some advice, as the majority of schools across the country are currently closed. So this entire session is really going to be about developing a routine for your child. To me, that's what it's really all about. And parents, I know a lot of you all have been nervous. Aunts and uncles, you've been nervous because you feel like you're completely responsible for instruction. But I'm here to tell you it's going to be okay. You're going to get it done. You're going to make it. And just as a reminder, parents, you all were the very first schools that your children ever had. Now, as we come to developing a routine, it's really important to remember that we do not want you, or do not expect you as educators to mimic everything that happened in school. That's almost impossible. So the same time frame that you may have had for each individual subject may not be able to be done specifically at home. I can tell you with my youngest daughter, Simone, when we developed her schedule, one of the main keys that you need to have, parents, is giving the child some input to the development of the schedule. That's so important. Simone set her schedule up so you would wake up at 8:30 in the morning and really start school by 9 a.m. And we kind of wanted to have things ended by 1 to 1:30. So as she was breaking things down, I specifically asked her, what subject do you want to talk about or discuss or work on first? And then we used the resources that were shared from her school division, her school specifically, and we also used the resources that were shared from my school division and kind of looked through some things online and try to figure out as many resources that we could possibly find for math, for reading, for writing, for science, for social studies. But one of the key things, parents, is we have to also make sure that we include art, we include chorus, we include physical education. Now, the NFL used to have a rule that they expected all children to have at least 60 minutes of physical education a day. And I know even when the weather's bad, you're thinking, how can we develop some of those things, especially if the weather's bad outside? On the inside, if you have ways to have your children, go up and down the steps, to do aerobics, to do push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, any type of activities that you feel can help to raise their heart rate. And again, give your children some input into what their favorite exercises are. If the outside is available, please make sure you give them some outside time. It could be in the backyard. It could be as simple as walking the dog around the neighborhood. Just make sure that we continue to focus on social distancing and other public health tips to make sure that the coronavirus doesn't spread. But we don't want our kids to be cooped up in the house all day. That's so important. And it's really easy for us to allow that to happen because of the amounts of technology, video games, and other things they have. Another key, parents, is to make sure that we actually develop breaks in between each subject matter. And a lot of times those breaks are also to help you to be able to refocus on what the next subject is going to be, but it also gives our students an opportunity to be able to reflect on what they learned. One of the things that Simone did very well is at the end of each day, she wanted to make sure that writing was the last thing, and she was doing personal journals for each day. Those daily writing assignments were basically a summary of all the new activities and new knowledge that was learned. Now, at the high school level, my oldest daughter, Kennedy, it was a little bit more challenging, but the good thing about it is because they already had laptops, Chromebooks, or whatever personal devices they were having for one-to-one in your school division, her teachers were allowed to be able to have Google Hangouts and Google Meets and Zoom sessions so they can have some collaborative feedback. But we also wanted to make sure that Kennedy understood that it wasn't vacation for the rest of the year. Now, the teenage body wants to get up later, so her schedule actually was going to begin around 9:30 or 10 a.m. to give her enough time to be able to adjust. And we also included some breaks in her sessions as well. At the elementary level, parents, it's really about them mastering the content that they learn for the first 24 weeks of school. At the secondary level, a lot of school divisions across the country are now allowing students to be able to learn new material through online learning, distance learning, or virtual learning plans. Don't feel like you have to be able to fill in the gaps for everything. I think it's really important as you begin to develop these routines for your students, make sure that you try to keep as much communication and collaboration with their teachers as possible. and try to set up that schedule so that it also works for the teacher to be able to support. Now, in my book, The Teacher's Lounge, in chapter 2, one of the first things I talk about is making sure that when my oldest son, Marcus, we want to make sure we develop a routine for him as well. Like, what does he do specifically when he gets off the bus and he comes home from school? You know, what time is he going to start his homework? What time is he going to do some physical activity? What time is dinner? And again, we gave him input into those things. So developing those routines are always going to be really important. We feel as educators that because these are some new times for all of us, I've seen several social media posts where teachers and non-teachers or administrators, anyone has been willing to help out, to help parents, help students, to help anyone who needs additional support as we try to make sure that instruction doesn't stop. Just because the schools are closed does not mean that instruction, learning, and knowledge must stop. This is session 1 on developing a routine for your child. If you don't have the Teacher's Lounge, again, you can go out and get it at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or any online retailer. If you have questions about developing your routines, feel free to shoot me an email at drjbg3@gmail.com. Also, put your questions in the comment boxes, send me direct messages. We're just willing to help. Thank you for session 1 for Saturday School for Dr. JBG3.